Painting over the paint, Part 4, other parts down below. We really have had a good time all week as far as I am aware. The drive was long and boring, but everyone stayed in high spirits until we were about an hour from our resort. By that point it became discussions about flying instead of driving and how everyone was hungry and running behind. Sunday through Wednesday afternoon went really well. We hit the parks, rode rides, had tons of pictures taken, and enjoyed ourselves. As I may have wrote before, we agreed to not say negative things or to do things to deliberately piss each other off, and we both stuck to it. I believe she started to make a comment once but cut herself off and rephrased her comment. I had zero issues with patience with lines or complaints about the parks, which were the things that she dreaded about coming. She seemed to check the past at the door and was enjoying the family experience again. Then came this evening. I am unsure if it was just being tired from going constantly for 5 days or what, but shots were fired today. I can't recall just where things went awry, but she teared up at lunch today with no explanation. Our daughter had a bit of an accident on the way to the bathroom, and I think that started it. It was a contingency that we had not prepared for. From there on, the day was just sort of awkward. I held the baby so she and my daughter could get on a ride with an hour wait. Then I booked out dinner. Then things just became not so fun. At some point in the day, I left her in line to go get the kids some snacks, and then later to use the restroom, and one time later to take a call that I asked permission to do. At dinner she just seemed cold and withdrawn. I asked what was up. I figured she was tired and ready to go, and I got the old-fashioned nothing response. I asked if she wanted to call it an early night and maybe take the kids to the pool, and got a whatever. I should have just shut up then. I made the fatal mistake of asking one last time what was going on, and she went off about how I was not taking losing my old job seriously. And I kept reminding her that I had just been laid off and was dragging my work life into our trip. I was unaware that I had done that. I assured her that I was upset, but I have a job to go home to and I'll keep looking for even better work. Then it became something about me ignoring my family and running off all week, then not getting the kids ready this morning, then not having my schedule all ready for my new job, then not fighting for my old job. My head was spinning. She unloaded so fast. Needless to say, we left the park. We stopped and grabbed some souvenirs, then came back to the resort. I told her that I really didn't care to crap up the rest of the trip over one disagreement. She says that she didn't think that being there with my family mattered to me. Tomorrow I plan to leave my phone in the car just to make sure there is no outside world contact on my part. She says that I am still doing just enough to get by. I'm really thinking she just can't be kept happy. Not by me and not by anyone else. She has been relaxed all week except for this evening and told me that there were no problems until I pushed her for some. Then she went off about every little thing that she could think of to get me to stop asking. Anyway, I'll not let tonight ruin it for me. I have a call into my new job to get a hard copy of my schedule and the alarm set extra early so I can do more helping with the kids in the morning. Here's to Thursday. May it be stress-free and full of love and family. Leaving for home in the morning, and aside from that one deal this week, everything has been quite fun. I stashed my phone and only made one outside world call the rest of the week. I made sure that all of my time was spent making the kids happy. My wife does the strangest stuff for someone that was ready to bolt a few months ago. She bought family Christmas stuff, kept talking about our next trip down here at Xmas next year, and seemed to be her old self for roughly 98% of the trip. We have avoided any us talk still and keep living in the day. She has accepted that I am back to being a chef again and seemed to get excited about some on the side pastry chef stuff I plan to work on. I am also looking at some catering on the side, and she loves getting in on that. Tomorrow is the 10-ish hour drive home, which shouldn't be too bad as long as the kids act decent. I expect some of the old stressors to pop back up once we are home again, but lucky for me, I'll have the daytime home alone to knock out a lot of things around the house that have been bothering us both. We still have our session scheduled for Thursday, so I know that we'll start dragging out the old feelings. Maybe she can unload some of the old baggage and we can keep plugging along. It really has been rough not just saying F it and moving on just to avoid the problems, but if we do work out our situation and keep our family together, it will be worth all the stress. Also, since I start working from basically 1 p.m. till 10 p.m. this week, I plan to join a gym so I can run indoors each morning after I drop the kids off at school. I should be in top-notch shape by the spring. I think going back to being a chef again, what I truly love doing, will give me some peace of mind when working, and a few nights each week away from each other so she has some personal space again once the kids are asleep. Also, the ride home so far has been spent talking about bringing the family back down next Xmas, so things are looking a bit better. She isn't in great shape by any means. She's 5'9" and about 175. She never lost the 2 baby weight. She doesn't look like she is in bad shape by any means to me. I know she is unhappy about it though, since she weighed about 115 when we married a decade ago. She was also a ballet teacher at the time, so she kept her weight off dancing and not eating lol. She really hasn't found time to exercise, but she is eating good now since I make all the meals, including her lunch since she changed jobs. I personally enjoy her whatever size she is, but I know she has a lot of image issues. I think that I am going to make a physical list of goals and post it in the bathroom where I get ready. Dropping my last 30 pounds will be near the top. Trip is complete. All in all, I would say that it exceeded my expectations in terms of family fun and getting along with my wife. The real test is us being back home. If I go on recent experience, we will get in an argument tonight or tomorrow night and she will leave the house to unwind. With the start of my new job, Sunday and Monday nights will be the only ones that we are both home until 10 and so in the evening. My game plan is to keep busy on those days and not give her anything to get mad about. Here is to Sunday, back home and hopefully back to normal. Sunday went off without a hitch. Me and the daughter went to church in the AM then headed home. We had absolutely no food in the house since we left nothing in the fridge when we left for vacation. We loaded up and headed out. I had to drop off some kids' books at the library and picked up the divorce remedy while I was there. I see a lot of people suggest it, so I figured what can I hurt. We then had lunch then did the shopping. It's strange shopping for food that she can cook. Historically, I have done the cooking, but I will only be home 2 nights a week for now, so I'll either have to make it during the day or leave it for her to knock out when she gets home at 5:30 or so. I'm planning on doing more cooking with her on the nights that we are home together. She had mentioned how she would like that a while ago, but we fell out of routine after the second kid came. Aside from that, I cooked a big pot of soup to last for a few days. We did a ton of laundry and housekeeping. Looked through the 16 pics that we took at Orlando, put the kids to bed, then watched Walking Dead. Hanging out is starting to feel less forced and stressful. We are actually talking about randomness and laughing with each other. We are not very physical as of yet, but upon reflection, we really weren't before. Maybe we kissed really fast before work or at bedtime. We held hands from time to time in the car and generally slept on our own sides of the bed with the exception of cuddling a bit just before we went to sleep. Really, physical affection will be rediscovering something from 5 years ago. I should really just take time and see what happens. Time to run to the gym and get signed up, then to the house to finish some coursework. Here's to Monday, new beginnings await. One last thing, we are still discussing future plans like saving up for next year's vacation and going skiing in February. It always gives me the warm and fuzzies when there is acknowledgement of the future in a positive way instead of a more than likely divorced way. I try to not predict the future based on conversations about it. I am just happy the comments like "let's not talk about next summer until next summer" have sort of tapered off. The hardest thing for me to deal with is when she is obviously in a foul mood or something has bothered her, taking her answer of "it's nothing" at face value. I seem to push the issue when she says it, and then she finds stuff to be angry about just because I refuse to leave her alone. The last few "it's nothing" arguments really had nothing at all to do with me until I pushed the issue. I believe one she was pissed about work and one was something the kids had done, but both turned into a fight about us since I wouldn't just shut up and let her deal with her own issues. As always, I love my wife and I love my family, especially when we are all on the same page. It is just creating more days where we are on instead of days where we are off that is the challenge. Nothing tremendous to write about today. I had to get up this morning and iron a chef coat and pants for the first time in about 6 years. I really enjoyed being a chef and thought it would be my lifelong career before I met my wife. Back then, I was 21 when we met. The job consisted of work hard, party hard, sleep a little, do it again. Now it consists of work hard, go home and sleep, get up, get the wife and kids out of the door, do some housework, and go back to work. It is a country club that I am going to work at. This particular club was the main competition of a club that I was the executive chef at about 12 years ago. The head chef is now a guy that used to work for me and is incredibly excited to be working with me again. He is allowing me to leave each day at 2:30, pick up my daughter, keep her until my wife gets off at 4:30, then come back in for night service. Not many jobs will accommodate such a thing in our area, so I am blessed to have found this one. I think the best and worst thing about this job will be not being at home every evening. My schedule will pretty much only have me at home on Sunday and Monday nights. On the good side, my wife will get a break from being around me nonstop and having to worry about coming home to me being in a bad mood. On the bad side, I will only get to see my kids a couple nights a week instead of mornings. Granted, I'll get a couple hours alone with my daughter each afternoon and an hour or so each morning with my son, but the whole routine that we have established over the last 2 months will be broken. Now my wife, who is stressed about life already, will be totally responsible for both kids 5 nights a week. I am really going to have to pick up the slack during the daytime and set her up for success with the children in the evening. I hope that if I can get the house in order before I leave each day, then all she will have to do is focus on the kids for roughly 3 hours before they go to sleep. Our relationship seems to be in a holding pattern. Things seem to be at a point where we are not fighting or being mean to each other on a daily basis anymore. This is great for the kids since they have not had to hear mommy and daddy being jerks to each other in several weeks. Our agreement to not say negative things to each other has held with the exception of my pushing her in conversation one time. I can tell that she is not 100% here, or even really 60%, but it is way better than the 0% that we had when I started this thread. We are still going to our counseling session this Thursday, and then I will work on finding us a weekend counselor or someone that can pick up our kids on Monday to allow us to go on that night. This will be the first time in almost 3 weeks that we have talked about our relationship with each other. I expect it to go badly, to be honest. When asked if we want to keep our relationship, I expect her to say, I could really go either way, and totally sit on the fence. I also hope this counselor is a save the marriage type instead of a divorce is easier type. Either way, I hope some good comes out of the session and we get some sort of direction on rebuilding. I started reading The Divorce Remedy last night. I read the first chapter or so alone, and then started reading it to her once I got into the meat of the book and the first set of questions. The walk-away wife section described our situation almost too well. Many of the things in the book were word-for-word things that came out of my wife's mouth, and she agreed as I read them to her. I plan to read a bit each day and then leave it marked for her to try to read as well. Who knows if she actually will, but she did tell me that she would read a book if I stuck it in front of her. We also agreed to try anything between now and the summer to try to prevent a divorce from happening. Anyhow, too much writing and too little getting their dinner started. Today is the second day of my new routine. I put off starting at the gym this week since I am trying to finish all of my coursework for the semester this week. I dropped the daughter off with my wife and got to meet some of her co-workers yesterday, which was cool. The wife also wished me good luck before I headed off. The club I am working for is about 5 minutes from her job, so it works out very well for me and gives me a couple one-on-one hours with my daughter each day. Work went really well. Being a chef is really like riding a bike. You never forget the skill set no matter how long you spend away from it. I enjoy private clubs over anything else because you have so much going on at any one time. Some of the people there still remembered me from various places that I had been the chef at locally, and one woman recognized a place that I was the pastry chef at in another state 6 years ago. All in all, it went off without a hitch and I was home about 9 p.m., just in time to hug the daughter goodnight before she fell asleep. I really have missed cooking professionally. I left it because I thought that my wife expected more out of me. Little did I know then that it was happiness, not money, that my wife preferred. She has told me that several times over the last few weeks. I really am at home knocking out high-end food and catering. On a side note, I bumped into a friend of ours while out shopping yesterday. She is going through a divorce with her husband of 12 years, mostly due to constantly fighting and some physical things that occurred lately. She asked about our situation and I told her that we are kind of on a plateau at the moment where the most hurtful stuff has ended, and about our deal to no longer say negative things to each other. I also told her that I really hoped it worked out for us and that it seems that we are at least moving into a place where we can work on our relationship. She told me that she wishes they would have done the same, but they have decided to go ahead and divorce. She looked so sad and unhappy about being in the situation that she is in now. I told her that I have read many times that people change their minds before the papers are signed. Living apart really shows people what it is that they will no longer have. She actually seemed to be relieved by that talk. I told my wife about the whole thing last night before bed, and she told me that our friend was just feeling so guilty that her relationship had got to that point and they had never worked hard to fix it. She also said that she is regretful now but feels like she waited too long to rebuild, kind of like where my wife is at the moment. I did not realize that my wife was feeling guilty about our relationship falling apart. She actually feels like the things she did to fix our relationship actually messed it up even worse and has been carrying that around on her shoulders for the longest. She also told me about some things that she had carried, like believing that I wanted to be alone and away from her and the kids. She thinks that I have found her unattractive since she is no longer a size 0, and a few other issues that she had just held on to but never really discussed. We didn't really argue or even discuss them further, but it really made me think that there is so much stuck in her brain to work out that this may be a longer process than I had ever thought. I spent a couple hours after she went to bed last night reading and thinking about things she had told me. The issue where she felt that I thought she was unattractive and fat was really hurting my brain. When we got up this morning, I waited until she was dressed and putting on her makeup in the bathroom before I approached her. I told her that I had spent some time thinking about what she had said and that I was truly sorry if I had ever led her to believe that she was not beautiful to me. I told her that regardless of her shape, she was the most beautiful and important woman in my life, and that I love how she looks, whether I tell her that often enough or not. I gave her a hug from behind and she teared up a bit and squeezed back. I told her one last time that I was really sorry for ever making her feel that way and that she should never worry about being ugly to me because I feel that she is nothing short of stunning to me. I gave her a little kiss on the cheek and another squeeze, and she seemed to smile a little as I walked off. I am sure it gets filed in the too little too late category, but there is never a time where a woman should feel like her mate finds her unattractive. It only shows how little appreciation that I had for her in the past and how much damage there is to repair. Either way, it needed to be done. Her spirit needs as much, if not more, uplifting than mine while we are hashing things out. Staying cool is the hardest part. I had become pretty confrontational when this all started a few months ago. Not I just keep myself from blurting out every stupid doubt that I have. I've been reading The Divorce Remedy and it's a pretty good book. I hit her with a quiz out of it the other night and then she had me go on to read another chapter to her out loud. Last night I read another chapter of it out loud to her after I gave her a couple sentences out of the first paragraph. I can't say the book is having me do anything that I am not doing already, but it has opened up a few conversations where we both identified with the people being hurt in a discussion as well as the person doing the hurt. In one situation, I felt like the person whose spouse had stepped out on them, but she reminded me that even though I have felt like that for a few months, she felt like that for a few years. Very good point on her behalf. We hung out a couple hours reading and watching TV before bed with some light relationship discussion, but nothing that could move into the drama or argument realm. As usual, we avoided being negative, and I still avoided asking her how she felt out recovery was going. We both actually slept really well last night. Oh yay, and when I dropped our daughter off to her so I could head into work yesterday, she gave me a hug all on her own. Physical touch was one of the things that we had cut out a month and a half ago since she was not comfortable with it. Making her hug me each morning was just pissing her off even more because she didn't want to do anything to make me feel like we were comfortable. Yes, my wife 180'd the hell out of me. It really made my evening and I was all smiles. Tonight is our first MC appointment. I hope nothing horrible comes out of it. We seem to be on a decent path, but the third party could really help us bounce issues off. She hated going to the one that we saw 4 years ago because the lady seemed to think I was perfectly healthy and that my wife needed help. Hopefully, this lady will be more centered, or at least ask my wife to come to a couple I sees instead of openly bashing her in front of me. So, yay, here's to Thursday. Hopefully we stay on course and learn new things. Time to go get me chef on. MC, the session went about as well as I could expect it tonight. We both really liked the counselor, which is a better start than last time. Our counselor started by asking if we were there to fix a marriage or get a divorce, and my wife started out with an I don't know. After the typical first-time questions, she basically told us that she was there to fix our marriage. She could counsel us to prepare for divorce, but she didn't think we're that bad off yet. She also said that she had worked with people that were way closer to the edge of the abyss than we are, and they are back together leading fulfilling lives. I gave the counselor a brief rundown of the last 5 years, and my wife filled her in on how bad I had sucked. She then pretty much told the counselor that she didn't know if there was even a starting point to bringing our marriage back because she had totally checked out 2 months ago and really didn't know if anything would come out of this. The counselor followed with, regardless of what you are saying, you care for this man somewhere deep inside or you wouldn't be here, even if this is a last-ditch effort. My wife agreed. After going over some more of our issues and my wife admitting that she didn't even know if there was a place to begin working or if she would even commit to doing the work, we got on the 5 love languages book and quiz. She sent the quiz with us for homework, told us that it is not as bad as we think it is, then scheduled us for every Monday for the next few months. When we left, I asked my wife if she wanted to talk about anything before we got home. We had a talk about how much we liked the lady and her direct approach. We like how she refuses to choose sides or put all the blame on either partner. When I asked her how she felt about working on us, she said she really didn't have an opinion. I also asked where she felt we were as a couple for 2 months ago. She was 100% for leaving and having a separation, but we had seemed to get along well for the last bit. She said she couldn't answer that since it changed day to day. I asked her what the typical good day was, and she said half the time she wants to leave, half the time she is trying to figure out how to stick in a loveless relationship for another 5 years. So, yay for loveless relationships. We drove around for another half hour talking about our issues, and she got upset that I keep giving her an out to leave. I always tell her that if she feels that we cannot fix our marriage, then she should just go ahead and leave and save us the time. She gets upset that I allow her to go ahead and go because then all the blame will be on her. I had to remind her that if she leaves, the blame is kind of on her at this point. I messed up our relationship for a while. Now I have done everything that she has mentioned that she wanted out of me. If what I am doing, and keep doing, isn't going to work, then yes, you can leave and I won't feel like I did not put it all out there. After we got home and put the kids together, we took the 5LL quiz. She got acts of service and I got words of affirmation. I have been full on with the acts of service for the last 2 to 3 months, but she withholds any words of affirmation since I could have been doing these things 5 years ago and we wouldn't be in this situation. We then went question by question and had a few laughs at some of our answers. We also had a sincere discussion on how she feels like I think she is fat and unattractive, which I don't, and that she stopped cuddling because she thought I bought a king-sized bed to get away from her. I had to tell her that I really believe that she has seen everything that I have done, for years now, as a negative. From bringing flowers, oh yay, you thought about me for 2 minutes as you walked past flowers at the store, to buying the big bed, to purchasing an antique wedding ring that she had pointed out in a store 6 months ago. I wasn't through shopping. You just grabbed the first thing that you saw me like. We also agreed to only talk about our relationship on the evenings that we have counseling. We will put the kids in bed and then do whatever work the counselor sends home with us or just sit down and take inventory of our thoughts. We later climbed in bed and I had her show me how she actually enjoyed snuggling so she wouldn't feel like I had flopped over on top of her. After she passed out, I was wandering around the house trying to find something to do until I got tired and for some stupid reason started snooping around on her phone again. She had asked a friend of ours who does mortgages if she could get one without my name on it, and he told her to come by at noon tomorrow. Common sense went out the door, and right back to our room I went. I asked if she was asleep yet, and she mumbled no. I asked if she had any plans to move out, and she told me of course not, then asked why. I asked her to please set a password on her phone and to not let me know because I snoop in it each time I get bored, and that I had seen her ask about a mortgage. She told me that she would not set up a password, that I need to just stay out of her phone. She also told me that she is looking to refinance our house but without my name on it, since I have a judgment from like 10 years ago for a couple grand that I never paid off. It's sort of a penis thing between me, my father, and another old business associate. If she could refinance it under just her name, then our payment would be cut in near half, and it would offset some of the money we lost by me changing careers. I felt kind of stupid for bringing it up, but really, why couldn't she has told me that she was looking into that in the first place? Common sense tells me that she couldn't even hope to afford a home on her tiny salary. So, yay, I botched that up by being a snoop. My new plan is to just leave her crap alone, no matter how much I want to do some digging. In the end, I feel like we can still work it out, but it will be on a really long scale. She really does not want to have to sit the daughter down and explain how one of us is leaving. She also thinks that she can survive on her income, but has started to realize that it is impossible, and that my income is so low right now she would get minimal assistance out of me. I hope we get to some of the meat of the issues on Monday. This week really didn't scratch the surface. Physically, we cut that out 2 months ago because it made her uncomfortable. She assumed that if she is physical at all with me, I feel as though things are better between us. So, at 7 this morning after I read your post, I took a stab at it. She came in the kitchen as I was making her lunch, and I told her that she should just skip lunch today, run home, and squeeze in one before she had to get back to the office. She looked sort of shocked that I had even said that. I told her that we had tried this her way with no touch and it wasn't helping anything, and we really want to go any farther apart either. She told me that today wouldn't be a good day for that, and then she wouldn't even get to eat. She's a fast bonding kind of girl, and I tend to take my time. I shrugged it off and told her the offer still stands if she changed her mind and went back to doing whatever I was doing at the moment. I found out 10 minutes later as she walked out of the bathroom with a handful of tampons that it really wasn't a good day for that. I told her, "You could have just said so." Then I grabbed her by the face and gave her a giant kiss. She didn't really kiss back and she didn't pull back, so I think I pretty much shocked the hell out of her. I think that I am at the point where she is going to have to realize that cutting me off totally physically is bad for both of us. Our counselor seemed shocked that we still even slept in the same bed since we had ended most of our touching. I have also figured out that the less physical we are, the more her statement that we are more like roommates becomes a reality instead of just a fantasy in her mind, and I am just aiding her in that thought process. We have our next counseling session on Monday, and I'm sure this will be something that I'll bring up. A counselor also seemed shocked that we had not slept together in almost 3 months now, and I was too now that I've sat back and thought about it. We also both woke up at 5 a.m. today. She asked why I was up, and I told her I had not slept all that well. I told her that I felt kind of bad after I went snooping through her phone again and overreacted about the mortgage issue. I also told her that I was tired of finding out everything about our lives through her text messages to people. I also told her that I was really tired of allowing myself to dig constantly. She told me that she had just not had any time to say anything to me yesterday about the mortgage deal. She had not even had time to go by and pick up paperwork to start it, much less even find out if what she wanted to do could be done. I also brought up the fact that I knew she was still deleting text messages from the guy that had sent her a few inappropriate ones a couple months ago. She asked how I knew, and I told her not to worry about how I need. I know what she deleted, and I can't even understand why the texts that she deleted were being deleted. She said that she is just deleting anything that she thinks I may take the wrong way and get pissed off about. I explained to her that I will always be uncomfortable with her speaking to him until I get an opportunity to talk to him over the phone or in person. I understand she spoke to him for the longest because he was a flirty guy and always said nice things to her, and I understand that he's the same way with every woman he meets. However, with the issues that we have, he needs to understand that I have a huge problem with it. I don't mind them being friends or even talking, but I do mind him flirting to my wife or trying to be the go-to person for her emotions. As it turns out, is moving back home in a month or so, and as I explained to her, there will be a conversation between me and him either over the phone before he comes back into town or face-to-face when I find him in town. Once again, this is another one that will come up in counseling before I actually make that phone call. She did at least agree to not see him when he comes in town during the Thanksgiving holidays because of how uncomfortable I am with the situation. After all, that it was just business as normal around the house in the mornings. She works the door at the bar tonight, so I won't see her until 3 a.m. I plan to go to bed at 10 o'clock and not even be awake or acknowledge that she's home when she gets there. Typically, I get up when she comes in, but I have to work tomorrow morning and really need to get some sleep. I had to get the text from the other guy stuff off my chest. It had seriously had me pissed off for a good month. Now that I have that off me, I feel a ton better. I had just been worried that I would mention it and she would pick her friendship over our relationship. Luckily, she values our relationship, as messed up as it is, over that friendship. Also, I plan to hold up in my home office and do some model building at night over the next few weeks. That way she can have space and I can do something I enjoy again. Well, it never seems to stop raining. I had talked with a friend about giving my wife some space this weekend and just staying out of the house as much as possible. My wife had said that she originally wanted some space to see if she missed me or not. Well, she picked this morning to read my FB chat logs and I think it set her off. I do not delete anything that I write, and she is always welcome to read it. She has my passwords for everything and I hide nothing from her. She even knows about this site but as far as I know has not stumbled across this thread. Maybe she has, I have no idea really. Anyhow, I thought my shift today was 9 to 2 but I found out last night that it really started at 7 a.m. I didn't find out until this morning that it ended at 11 a.m. Not 2 p.m. Once we wrapped up at 11, I ran to the house to grab a belt and do some quick reading for an exam. As I got home, the wife was busy getting the kids ready because she assumed that I would be gone all day and they were going to go on a play date with some friends. She seemed rather distant, so I thought I had found some way to piss her off without knowing it. Everything was cool when I left the house this morning. I checked my computer history and sure enough, she had read the long conversation between myself and a friend about me working extra all weekend and finding somewhere to hang out Sunday afternoon so she could have her space. The conversation also touched on our post-therapy argument and how I was debating about getting an extended stay for a few weeks just to give her more space to think. I checked her texts real fast and of course, she had made a comment to the friend she is going to hand out with along the lines of course I can come. I checked his FB chat and he's planning on avoiding me all weekend, so I guess I don't have to care about his feelings. I mean, Christ, I cannot win with this woman. I crowd her, she gets upset. I try to find a way to give her space, she gets upset. I got her outside so the children wouldn't be in earshot and told her that I had planned to go this weekend since she wanted some space, but I was still coming home at night after work. I simply wanted to do like she had asked so she could see if she missed me being around. I cannot even tell you what all she said back. My mind has sort of shut itself off. She did tell me that she didn't believe that any of the stuff I was doing was actually for her. The cleaning and taking care of the kids, the taking her vehicle to get fixed and cleaned out, the extra politeness and consideration of her feelings this whole time, trying to get into her interest, and listening to everything she has to say. None of that was for her, it's all for me. It is all so I can feel better and tell people that I am trying hard to save our marriage, but she isn't trying at all. What the hell? She is upset that everyone seems to be against her and thinking that she should try hard to hold on to her marriage. She is upset that the MC says she needs to find some sort of starting point because she really doesn't feel like she has one. She is still here now because she promised me that she would try everything before we called it quits, and counseling was one of the things she promised to try. She really does not know what to say to the MC on Monday because she is supposed to think of what I can do to start a healing process. And she really cannot think of anything. I am pretty much divorced, I think. I found her searching for rental properties today on the internet, but they were on the wrong side of town for the school system that we are looking to get our child into. I have no idea whether to bring that up or not. It is on the side of town that a couple of our friends are looking at, so it could be for them and not her. I just feel totally wiped and hosed. She keeps saying that she is trying to find ways to make this work for the next few years, but she doesn't think she can live like this. Christ, who could live in a situation like this? I sure don't care to fight and be fueled with distrust and drama each day. I mean, what should I say to this woman? She still keeps saying that she doesn't know if she will be able to let it go since she believes in her heart that I will eventually revert to a bad husband, and she really doesn't want to risk getting her heart broken again. My comment, I will say it again. Focus on yourself, your actions, stop analyzing her. It is a waste of your time. Part 5 coming tomorrow.